Welcome everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to this week's episode of the weekly HOScale newsletter recaps for May 12th, 2025. I know this video is going up on the 13th, no worries, we haven't missed anything. I was out of town for the weekend, so didn't have a chance to record. If you are new to the series, this is where we take a look at a variety of newsletters from the past week in the HOScale community and talk about new product announcements, order deadlines, and any updates. Before we get into things, as always, do me a favor and subscribe if you're new or if you find yourself coming back anyways. Completely free, helps me to make a couple dollars, so I really appreciate it. Like the video if you enjoyed as well, and drop me a comment if you found anything interesting here or just want to chat. Let me know of any new additions to your collections or anything I may have missed in these newsletters. But we'll go ahead and get started this week with Rapido. As we get started here, you've seen the table of contents on the screen as I've been doing that intro there. Just a heads up. There are a lot of repeats here from last week about order reminders. A little update on the current tariff situation when this was posted has changed once again since. If you want to support the Hobby Industry Coalition, be my guest and go ahead and check them out online. Next up, we've got some photo submissions here. Some very nice weathering on that boxcar. Looks fantastic. As well as these absolutely gorgeous daylight PAs. I've seen some people looking for those online and no hits. So I am considering picking some up eventually on my own, but it doesn't seem like many people are selling them, which seems to be a good sign because those models are in high demand. Next up, we do have these order reminders for May 15th coming up this week. We talked about them last week. I'll move through them fairly quickly, just a quick reminder. First up, we've got the Greenbrier reefers, models I personally have pre-ordered in the ScaleTrains and lineage schemes. Here are some of these pre-production samples that we saw from the show a couple weeks ago. Reminder, they do come with sound, and if you do get sound, you do get that green light by the AC unit on the end there. That is not present on the non-sound models. A little bit of those features, and a reminder of all of the paint schemes. You can order the ScaleTrains and lineage cars individually since they have specific names on each car, while the other cars, the Arkansas, Oklahoma, Ontario, Northland, and the Union Pacific versions, you can only get as random numbered packs or single cars. But I'm very excited to see those as well. They should be a good complement to my ScaleTrains reefers. Next up, we've got the 73-foot center beams that were announced as well a couple weeks ago. Nice pre-production samples of a previous run. Very nice detailed lettering on these cars. I'm going a little bit quickly here. As always, feel free to pause and take a look at anything in particular. Nice picture there with the Sears Tower in the background. And here are the cars showing their center beam loads as well, which are also due for pre-orders at the same time on May 15th. Here are the features for all the cars. And quickly, here are some individual car features. And all of the paint schemes down below. These also have an Ncale release that we'll see a little bit later on that I'll move very quickly through. Reminder of the wrapped lumber loads. These are how those will look on the cars. Very nice. They are the proper length, they say, for the 73-foot cars, which is very nice to see. And the next model here with the May 15th pre-order deadline are the X3 tank cars. I have one of these from a mystery box I got a few Christmases ago. Haven't run it too much, in all honesty, but I do think it's a very nice car. Here's some of the assembly line shots of the cars. And of course the bread box, which has never been done in HOScale before. Here's the list of all the features. And we'll move through all of the different versions. First up, the 8,000 gallon tankers. Pretty much all UTLX lettered. Some with those special markings like hexane on the side there. Next up, the 10,000 gallon tanks, and of course the bread box on the bottom. Next model here with the May 15th pre-order deadline, the drop bottom gondolas. These were announced quite a while ago, but never had a pre-order deadline, and it is now set to May 15th. Here's the high side versions. Looks really cool. They are specific to the Northern Pacific Railroad Historical Association. You will have to order through them directly for the high side cars, but it's a very nice detail variation. Here's the feature list, as well as all of the paint schemes. Lots of neat ones in there, pretty decent variety in this release. And very quickly, in Ncale, same announcement as hoscale, the center beams, the 73-foot center beams, as well as the wrapped lumber loads. Moving fairly quickly, it's almost the exact same details and the same paint schemes compared to the hoscale run for all of you Ncalers here if you're interested in those as well. Just move on through. And we get now to the June order deadlines. First up, we've got the FA and FB1s. Here are new renders of the Erie Lackawanna FAs. These look very sharp. Tons of details on these models. These are just renders and not a production sample quite yet. Of course, there's that reverse light on the B unit. And this is not the first run, so here are some of the samples from the first run, showing off some of these very nice details on the nose of the locomotive. Reminder of the feature list on these locomotives. Of course, they do have the MoPower capacitors. And here are all of the schemes in this run. All of those at the top come just as A units or AB sets, and the three here at the bottom are just A units and no B units are offered. Those have an order deadline in June. We'll touch base again right before that is due. Next up in Ncale, the F40PH-2Ds. These have amazing details. They have done them before. And I do wish they would re-release these in hoscale with this Rio Grande ski train livery in the standard F40s, as well as these via rail schemes, because I'd probably pick up a couple of those. I do think that scheme is very sharp. Those have an order deadline of June 17th. Again, just in Ncale. Sticking with Ncale here, the LRC Coaches. Same order deadline as the rest of June 17th. Reminder of all the paint schemes here on these cars. And Jason was on the Be a Marketer podcast, if you'd like to check it out through them. Talking about building the Rapido Trains business. They will also be live on May 27th at 7:30 if you'd like to check them out. It'll be live on Facebook, and then it gets uploaded to YouTube after the fact, usually a few hours. And coming up this week, they'll be at the PRR-TNHS convention. Bill will be over there if you'd like to ask him some questions over there, as well as they'll be at the New England Railroad Prototype Modelers Meet on May 30th. I'd like to check out Bill once again in the area, and potentially they do talk about a new model at that meet, which will be very exciting. Now on to the factory updates. Pretty much all of the models you can see that's available now have shipped from either Rapido or dealers. So if you're still waiting on that, I would recommend just giving a quick shout to your dealer just to make sure those should be on their way. We do have the PFE reefers on their way, as well as the Berlin Mills boxcars should be shipping very soon. Seen some updates on Instagram. They look amazing, as well as some more models on the water. Should see those in a little while, depending on the whole tariff situation. We do have some new photos, but they've got the new look buses in the paint shop. Looking pretty sweet. As well as the Herzog version of the ballast hoppers. I'll probably pick some of those up, not the Herzog scheme, maybe some of the Canadian schemes, just because I think they're pretty nice. And we've got the Enterprise hoppers in assembly, as well as the GP40 slugs getting printed. Very excited for the GP40s. We're also doing those Greenbrier reefers in Ncale. They do have the first samples here of those. Same levels of detail there, it seems, to the hoscale ones we just talked about. And the GP20 tank cars are on the water, should be arriving soon. Here are some of the different paint schemes on those cars. Very nice print details. I think they really nailed those. But that is all here from Rapido for this week. We'll move on now over to Class 1 Model Works with a quick message. And next up, just a quick message from Class 1 Modelworks about some models that are almost sold out from them. First up, the Thrall 86-foot high cube boxcars, their new run of them. Here's those Norfolk Western and CB&Q schemes looking very sharp, as well as B&O and Union Pacific featured here. Lots of 86-foot boxcars in the works recently. ScaleTrains has a few. They are a different model, different style, but any auto parts modeler definitely has their hands full with a lot of 86-footers. The ARI 5200 hoppers are also low on stock as well. I think these do look nice. I am considering picking up one or two of them myself. Haven't quite done it yet, but I think they're pretty nice models from what it seems like online as well. But that's all we have here from Class 1 Modelworks. Just a heads up, these models are almost gone from them. We'll move on now over to Athearn next. Moving on now to Athearn's Dispatcher, their newsletter from the past week. Some pre-order reminders up first, the Genesis GP39-2s. We took a look at these a little while ago when they were announced back in April. Again, they did keep pre-orders open on a bunch of models because they haven't made any new announcements recently. Here are some of those paint schemes going by in the Genesis 2.0 line with all the lit number boards and class lights as appropriate. Additionally, in the Genesis line, another GP unit, the GP50s, same kind of thing, Genesis 2.0. A couple legendary liveries in this line as well, like the Frisco. I think some of these look really nice. Again, we took a look at everything in pretty decent detail a couple weeks ago. If you'd like to check out all the full details on those models. And shipping shortly, sometime in May here, in the Genesis 2.0 line once again, a bunch of GP40s with different variations there, including those GP40P-2s. Not often made in HO scale. Here's a good idea of those models that should be arriving shortly. And now in stock in the standard Athearn line, so not the Genesis line, the DCC ready GP38-2s are shipping soon. They do say they're selling out pretty quick. So if you'd like to check those out, contact your dealer. They do say it does come with a speaker installed, which is very nice on a DCC ready model. So drop in your decoder and you're good to go. Their Train 2 state, they talked about all of those GP40s we just looked at. If you'd like to check that out, that's over on their YouTube channel. But that's all we have here from Athearn for this week, just a couple new models in the works. We'll move on now over to ScaleTrains next. Moving on now to ScaleTrains' newsletter. First up, they put on a nice YouTube video about the 611, their Norfolk Western Class J, in honor of their 75th birthday there. If you'd like to check that out, it's a pretty decent video, chasing the train. And of course, the Fox Valley Models line, Class J's from ScaleTrains are now in stock. Yes, it is the MTH tooling rebranded under the Fox Valley Models brand. We talked about them for a couple weeks, just a little heads up. Again, the Powhatan Aero cars, their first passenger car, are also selling out from ScaleTrains. In Ncale, reminder, the Trinity 82-foot reefers are in stock, available with or without sound. This is similar to the first run of reefers in HO scale with the roofline icicles. And another run of those will be coming this summer with different patched variations. Very similar to this model here in Ncale. Pretty much the same patch variations coming in that new run of HO scale reefers. I'll let these run through here just to get an idea of what those will look like. Quick reminder, same thing where they're available with sound or silent. The sound models, similar to those Rapido reefers, will have a blue light on the AC unit. A little look at the road names and paint schemes spelled out there. Same thing as the HO scale release. And now on to the new announcements we covered last week. First up, the finger rack flat cars. I'll let these paint schemes flash by so you can get a good look at them if you didn't see them last week. This is not a new model for ScaleTrains, just some new paint schemes offered in this run. So it's the first time in 5 years, so it's been quite a bit. A little bit of history on the models themselves, as well as some of the details, and a list of the road names and paint schemes. They are also offering some hypotypical finger racks with the same level of details, just with some different road names. Of course, the hypotypical line, models that didn't actually exist in real life, but the car model exists with that railroad's paint scheme applied. I've got one of the ET44s in the BNSF H1 scheme. think it's a pretty neat idea to sell a couple more models, and I do love the H1 paint scheme. We also talked about the PSC 70-ton ore cars and the Fox Valley Models tooling released last week. These also have a pre-order coming up in June if you're interested. The DM&IR scheme of these cars only comes in 4-packs. The rest are available as single cars. You do get about a $5 discount on that 4-pack, but the rest are $55. A little bit of history and some details on those models. And on to the locomotive, announced last week as well, the SD38-2s in the rivet counter line. Here's those paint schemes going by. We took a look at one of the BN schemes last week. Of course, lots of short lines in this run, so it should appeal to a variety of modelers that want a specific road name. Of course, you can always email ScaleTrains with suggestions. Some of the history on those as well as their details and this full list of paint schemes. You can see tons offered in this run, with variations in dynamic brakes or with or without the beacon like on the BN, as well as that DM&IR. Tons of DM&IR offered across these SD38-2s and the Ore cars as well. Once again, if you'd like to check out the Hobby Industry Coalition, you can check them out online at that website. And this past weekend, the LaGrange Railfest happened. If you were able to attend that, hope you had a good time. A little bit of a billing and pricing update due to the tariffs on the Ncale models that recently delivered. Check that out there. But that's all we have from ScaleTrains for this week. We'll move on to Walthers for our final newsletter. Moving on now to Walthers' e-update for the past week. Reminder that BLI recently announced a new business car, the Lincoln or Lone Star, which I'll be getting the Lincoln, as that's the one I saw in Rochelle. Similar levels of detail to the Kennefic, couple detail variations to reflect the actual car, which is pretty neat. Those pre-orders will be open for a little while. The Protoline X29Bs are now here. Very nice detailed boxcar. If you'd like to grab some more Pennsylvania rolling stock, tons offered here from Walthers, as well as all of the Pennsylvania rolling stock coming from Rapido as well. In the mainline line, we've got a 40-foot single-sheath boxcar with dreadnought ends. Saw these on sale at Lombard Hobbies a couple weekends ago. Seems like a pretty good model if you'd like to pick up some. And a model I've actually been eyeing for a while, the Grand Trunk Western style wood caboose. I do really like this paint scheme, think it's pretty neat. Doesn't really fit anything I have, I just think it's a cool paint scheme, so I might pick some up and might see a video on that coming your way. And if you're looking to pick up some more automobiles, you can get another model here from Burkina. It's a Honda CRX from '83. And in Ncale, if you'd like to pick up some new models announced from them, we've got the SD70Ms. Kato, of course, doing a lot more in Ncale than HO scale these days. But that is all I have for newsletters for this week. Not a ton going on, but enough to capture some of the recent announcements and new updates. Do hope you enjoyed. If you did make it this far, consider subscribing. Really appreciate it. Helps me to make a couple dollars once again, and is completely free to you. Like the video if you enjoyed. Share this with a friend if you think they might find this useful, and drop me a comment if you found this interesting or just want to chat. Love talking with you guys. But thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.